Well, hello everyone. It's the Lord of Toxicity, joined today for the first time by the Princess of Toxicity, my
Oh,
darling daughter. How are you?
hello, ladies and gentlemen.
We
You can sit down. Hold your applause. It's
hold your
okay.
applause. Everyone, calm down. Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down. You've seen a girl before, I'm sure, at some point. So today we're going to talk about Matt Walshs' new film, the very controversial "Am I Racist?" And not too many people are reviewing this thing, so I thought the princess and I would talk about it. I watched it 100% in the theater and paid for it. I definitely did not stream it somewheres where I wasn't supposed to. And the Princess of Toxicity decided to go with her ex milquetoast boyfriend and watch it the other day. And I thought we'd get a couple of racist white people's opinion on this film. What do you think? Should we give the audience what they want?
Yeah, as long as you are ready to confront your whiteness and you're ready to decentralize that,
I'm going
because
to decentralize my whiteness.
it's too
I'm ready.
centralized. We need to
Facts,
uncentralize. Facts.
facts, for sure, facts. So yeah, we're going to talk about am I racist? So without further ado, let's get into it.
Riding on the waves of destruction, a toxic presence, a lord of corruption, polluting the ocean, spreading in decay, the toxic black, going the flame, searing through the sand.
I've got balls of steel.
So once again, Princess of Toxicity, my only daughter. Thank you again for joining me. So, what led you to go watch this film? Just out of curiosity, what was this? Just the only thing playing, or did you have some kind of yen to go find out about exactly how racist you are?
Um, I had never thought of myself as a racist, but
Mm,
I saw it the ad a couple
yes.
months ago
Mm,
for this movie, and I'd never heard of Matt Walsh. And so after I saw this ad for the theater, I looked it up, and apparently he has another documentary. I had not heard of the Daily Wire or Matt Walsh, but he has another documentary called What is a Woman? So I
yes.
was very
Yes.
intrigued, and I set it on my calendar when this movie was set to come out, and I wanted to make sure I watched it because it seemed very intriguing for me.
Mm, okay. I guess ultimately as white people, and that's what we are. We're white people. And I'm sorry. I just want to shout out my apologies to anyone on YouTube. I am sorry for being white. I do regret it. I'm disgusted with myself every day in my whiteness. And I just thought like maybe we could shed a little bit of light into the darkness of our racism a little bit. And when I say that, I mean it very sarcastically because I am definitely not racist, and neither is my daughter. And as far as we're concerned, all this DEI bullshit is exactly that, just a bunch of bullshit. I did see Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? I do follow the Daily Wire. I watch Matt Walsh on YouTube pretty regularly, and I enjoy most of his content. I can tell you right now, if you're deciding to look into Matt Walsh and possibly become a fan, definitely his documentary and his political satire is great stuff. But when he delves into movie and TV stuff, just steer away from that because he has horrible, horrible takes on stuff like that. But hey, nobody's perfect. That's fine. So my understanding of this, the inception of this after What is a Woman, was to find out where all these DEI hustlers are coming from. So what Matt Walsh does is he goes undercover as a sort of DEI representative, a guru, as it were, on how to make white people more accountable for their racism. Basically posing as some of the people that he's in fact making fun of, these race grifters that have cropped up in the last 5, 6, 7 years, basically to tell everybody that how racist they are, to host dinners that are thousands of dollars per dinner, and to tell people, hey, this is how racist you are, and this is why you need to stop acting so racist in this woke world that we now find ourselves. So yeah, it aired September 13th, as I understand it. It's number 4 in the box office, and it's doing pretty well. And I just was curious what was the theater like when you went in the theater, Princess of Toxicity? What was it like?
So I can tell you now that it was filled with white people,
Interesting.
but it was already dark because the trailers were already going by the time I got there because
Sure.
I missed half of them. But during the movie, I think that there might have been people of the leftist persuasion that
Mhm.
maybe didn't really look into this movie too much,
Okay.
or maybe didn't know who Matt Walsh was,
Okay.
and they got up and left pretty early on into the movie. So I don't know if they were also thinking that this was one of the seminars that they go to,
Right.
like that they were trying to confront their whiteness as well,
Right.
and were turned off from the fact that this is satire,
Mhm.
him going to all these events. So I don't really know, but they were not into it. And movie tickets are not super cheap. So
Do you think they went out and asked for a refund?
they probably did. They probably did.
Now, when you say that the theater was dark, obviously you mean the illumination. You're not making a racist comment saying there was a bunch of black people in there, are you?
That was a bad time to have an awkward silence. I had to mute it to let mom in. No, 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 please don't cancel me. Please, please. Not ready.
That was perfect, actually. That was perfect. So overall, just give me a few of the key points of how you perceive the film to be. Like, what was it about? What was he trying to accomplish with this, and from your perspective?
I think that him, like the satire of it all, him talking to these, what is it, DEI or DEA, the diversity coaches, them mainly being white people. I don't know. I don't know if people are. That's just very moving to me that all of these people who go to college for 4 to 8 years to become masters in racial history and to make people more, I don't know, the wokeness of it all. It's just very funny to me. And I'm sure that's what I haven't seen his What is a Woman, but
Mhm.
there was a clip of it in the movie where
Okay.
he's talking to this professor, and it's just this white millennial guy who is kind of, quote, like, for lack of a better terms, man-splitting, like what an actual woman is, but
Uh,
doing it in the woke sense of like, oh, a woman is whatever you perceive a woman to be. A woman is whatever people want to be. Like, it's
wow.
not just based off of. So I just think that's very funny that it's not black people really telling white people like, oh, hey, maybe just don't bring up race, or like maybe
Right.
just treat me like a normal person. And it's not women saying, oh, this is actually what women are. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. White people telling black people how to be, and men telling other people how women are supposed to be perceived or whatever. So it's very funny. And I think that people don't realize that that's the joke. And like that's the whole point of the documentary.
Hmm.
I don't know.
What, as a young white woman yourself who is also in college, do you feel that that accurately represents the kind of young liberal white woman woke culture that's kind of permeating today? Now, again, like, without going into too much detail because we don't want people stalking you because you're my daughter. But basically a little bit of background. So, like, you go to college, you're young, you're white, you're in your early 20s. Do you feel that, although you live in the Midwest, does you feel like that accurately represents how people are in this day and age, or do you think it's more like a very specific niche brand of race baiters and DEI hustlers that are doing this?
No, I think that even in a more Republican county that I live in, it's still very hive mind in you're
Hmm.
only smart if you feel this specific way and you have these certain political beliefs.
Okay.
In my sociology class that I have to take this semester,
Uh-huh.
my professor was showing videos of Donald Trump at the debate and just speeches that he's done, and everyone was laughing and basically calling him stupid the whole time,
Oh, wow.
alluding to the fact that if you have more right-leaning beliefs or even like moderate beliefs, you're stupid. Like
Yeah.
if you're not voting for Kamala Harris, then you're racist and all this stuff. So there you kind of have to play more into being a liberal or being leftist to get a good grade in college because that's what they deem to be smart,
Really?
which is unfortunate. But and even in my class last semester is my first college semester, and I had a social work class. It was just intro to social work. And my professor told everyone, if you're a Republican, you don't have feelings and you don't care about people,
Oh,
and
wow.
you should just get out of the social work profession in general because you're not gonna you're not gonna be able to make a difference if you're a Republican and you have no feelings, basically.
Wow. And this is something a professor said in a current college today?
Yeah, yeah, at my
Holy
college.
holy shnikes. Are you are you of the opinion that that's true, or do you think that's just a bunch of woke garbage?
I definitely think that that is untrue. I wouldn't consider myself a leftist, but I also wouldn't consider myself I don't know. I would say that I'm more moderate in my political beliefs, but I feel like Republicans get a bad rap a lot of the time
Hmm.
as they think that again, the movie they said, if you're a Republican, you're a Nazi.
Yes.
When
Yes.
I feel as though if you're a Nazi, you're probably a Nazi. I it's kind of like a
Mm,
square is not a rectangle, but a rectangle is a square or whatever it is. I feel
okay.
like maybe you could be a Republican and be a Nazi, but not all Republicans are Nazis.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just it's
What's
very
your feeling on race in general? Being a young white woman in her early 20s, what do you think that race is important? Do you think it's important that we kind of acknowledge that kind of stuff? Do you think that things like what Matt Walsh is doing in this film, do you think it's sort of subterfuge and he's trying to push buttons, or do you think it's important to kind of bring light to these kind of things?
I think that people can get a little too I don't know the word.
Up their own
Push
ass?
yeah, push buttons, I guess, is I don't think he's trying to push buttons. I think that a way to find common ground with people can be in humor, and I
Yeah.
think that's what he was trying to do. But when it comes to race nowadays, I feel like you aren't able to joke about things as much as you probably could 10 years ago or 15 years ago, which
Hmm.
is unfortunate because it's just mainly on the white side of things. You can't really joke about things.
Hmm.
If you're making a joke and trying to find common ground with people and it doesn't land as a white person, it's definitely a lot different than if you're Black or Hispanic or
Hmm.
Asian. So, I think it's important to be I don't know how you don't think about race or say that, like, you're colorblind, like how they were saying. Like, that just seems a little crazy, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, saying, "Oh, you're a Black person, I acknowledge that, you know, I'm a white person, my hierarchy in society like, I'm a lot higher than you." I feel like that's just way more racist than just
Hmm.
being a normal person. And like, why do we have to bring up race? I don't really understand.
It
I think
seems to be very important these days for people to acknowledge race. I guess I kind of side with Matt Walsh. I never really gave it much thought. If somebody was attractive, they were attractive. If I guess I never thought too much about it. I've definitely experienced a lot of racism in my life, but in the reverse. But I never really thought this entire group of people are racist or non-racist because of something. I'm a pretty firm believer that people are virtue signaling, and I think the ultimate goal, what he was trying to do with the movie, was to expose these people they're just trying to grift on current culture. They're just trying to create more divides and make people feel bad. And I think that white people inherently have a huge amount of guilt and fear. They're guilty because of things they perceive, and they are afraid that people are going to call them racist. I think that's a huge fear of white people, that they have that. And I don't know. I don't really know where that comes from, but I mean, I would say probably the media is to blame, and I'm certainly of the opinion that the people like that he makes fun of and lampoons in this film, like the lady that he gets to give his producer like $40 out of her purse just because she gets put on the spot to do so.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. I think a lot of the things that take place in this film, I almost wish it was staged in some way. This film has been sort of it's been kind of likened to like Borat with this, the way in which they do it. I don't know what the name is for it, like a fockumentary or a mockumentary.
Yeah.
But I know with Borat, some of the stuff was made up, whereas I know here, the only thing that's made up is when Matt Walsh is pretending to be the DEI expert. Everybody else is being 100% genuine in this, and that's really frightening to me. It's really frightening that you could get a group of white people that are so guilty and wanting to show how not racist they are that they'd be willing to take whips and flagellate themselves. Did you get any laughs in the theater or anything like that, or was just everybody like super uncomfortable?
No, there was some laughs, but other than the people who got up and left, I mean, they didn't make it very far in, and definitely did not make it in to see the whips part of the documentary. But
what did you think of the dinner they have with the lady of Indian descent and her partner getting all the white people to pay $5,000 for a dinner just so she can yell at him and call him racist? Like, what did you think of those people and stuff in the movie?
I think I just kind of felt bad for those women that felt like they needed to go to this dinner and pay all that money just because they're white women. And I don't know. I think that, I mean, they say that being, what is it, red pilled on the right side, that it's this slippery slope into becoming an extremist or like becoming a Nazi. But I honestly think that during 2020, TikTok was one of the sites that I feel like you could become on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many people yelling at you on TikTok, like, oh, if you're saying this, you're racist. If you're doing this, then you're racist. And it's all like what not to do. Like, oh, white women, you're always the victim and you need to start being, a savior and all these things. So TikTok is just kind of scary sometimes that people can brainwash you that way too. But I don't know. I do feel bad for them that they feel like so guilty in themselves and that these people are making them feel guilty in just being white. And I don't think that they're understanding that they're being racist toward, like, they're paying to also have someone be racist to them. Like, I don't know if they understand that.
One of the things that's come out since this movie's been released in the last couple weeks is that some of these DEI experts that he had interviewed here, because of the fact of how poorly they come off in the film, and they do come off very badly. they have shut down their Twitter accounts, they've shut down their TikToks, their Instagrams, things like that. What's your thoughts on that? Like, why do you think if they were so sure that they were in the right before, and then they get exposed in this manner, why do you think they're shutting down their social medias and things like that?
Well, in all fairness, I think that people can direct videos or movies and portray people in a certain way just based off of how they put things together in the editing process. But I feel like he was being pretty true and fair to what they were actually saying. And
Yeah.
what they were saying was basically that I don't know. It just felt very like they seemed like they were being racist, and I'm sure that people of color were reaching out to them and being like, "Hey guys, what you did was kind of fucked up," just to paint us as victims, because nobody likes being a victim.
Right.
People, like white people, don't want to have to be the bad guys in every situation, and people of color don't want to be the ones that are, I don't know, it's just very weird that, and again, it's mainly like that, what is her name, Robin, that lady right there, Robin, who was paying the $40 in reparations. Like, I don't even think she knows that was really inherently wrong.
Yeah, that in itself was really racist. Yeah, no, I know. And she's one of the three that he interviewed that has since shut down all their social media. I find that pretty interesting. You're so sure that you're right, and yet when you're exposed for the things that you're saying behind closed doors, all of a sudden you shut your stuff. Isn't that the thing that you portray on other people? So, I'd like to wrap it up with this. It's interesting that you went and saw it. I was very surprised when you told me that you did, but I'm glad that you did. Do you think so? Out of 1 to 5, right? 1 being a total piece of shit, and you're just not interested, and you really regret it, and you almost want your money back, or a 5 and it's totally toxic, awesome. Where would you rate Am I Racist as a film?
I really enjoyed it. I think it was very thought-provoking throughout its entirety. So I'd probably give it a 5.
Really?
It made me want to go. It made me want to go and look up his other stuff, because again, I hadn't heard of Matt Walshs before this, and I hadn't heard of the Daily Wire.
Well, I can recommend What Is a Woman, but I would say leave Lady Ballers alone. That one's not super great. So, for whatever that's worth. Okay. I too will give it. I'll give it a 4.5 just for the fact that, I do think it delves a little bit into Borat style gotcha cinema, and I wasn't a huge fan of Borat. I think I do give him credit for the fact that he was able to pull a lot of this off, because he is in the mainstream. He's pretty well known. How he was able to do this is pretty impressive a lot of the times. But yeah, I mean, I'll definitely give it a 4.5. I probably watched it in a different frame of mind than you did, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. Again, his take on pop culture and movies and stuff I don't care for, but his political takes I think are pretty dope. Would you recommend this to other people to watch? I would say you probably would if you gave it a 5, right?
I would definitely recommend it. I don't know if people really in my generation would want to go see this, because I feel like a lot of 20-somethings are on the woke train.
Sure.
But I would recommend it to people who want to have a different point of view, I feel like. And I feel like that's what everybody should be doing, is even if you don't agree with something, you should try to see the other person's point of view, the other person's side of it. So I would recommend it even to my more
wokeified
friends.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I definitely think that it's something that most people should watch. I think that at the end of the day, whether you like them or love them, seeing somebody else's opinion on stuff is definitely important. I'm not really thrilled with the fact that this has a 99% audience rating in the tomato meter, but 0 rating with reviewers because no one is reviewing it. I think we're like one of only 5 people who've reviewed this movie. So, hey, if I'm going to get canceled, come at me, bro. I'm ready. I don't get monetized anyway, and I don't really give a shit. So if you don't like what we had to say today, come for me. It's your funeral. As far as am I racist? You know what? I kind of feel like maybe everybody is a little bit racist. And I think that the more that you try to say that you're not racist, that you don't have preconceived notions, that you don't adhere to stereotypes, I think that that makes you a little bit more on that end. So what do you think, Princess of Toxicity? You think you got any racism in you?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty racist of you to have 2 mixed race children and then go ahead and turn around and make 2 more white people and pollute our population with more white.
Yeah, I agree. I should have kept mixing it up, and yeah, that's what I should have done. You know what? At the end of the day, I have the solution to racism. And what you need to do is whatever demographic you belong to, go and find the opposite of that. So if you're blonde hair and blue-eyed, go find yourself a really dark-skinned person of color from the Caribbean islands, Haiti, Jamaica, whatever, and make a baby with them. If you're Asian or Pacific Islander, go find yourself a redhead ginger and make a baby with that. And we'll just keep on mixing up all the colors till there is no more racism. That is the Lord of Toxicity's basic, fundamental cure for racism. Let's just keep mixing it up and banging it up until we're all just one big old hodgepodge. And then we can just basically be like 2 different demographics. You know, the prequels sucked or the sequels sucked in the Star Wars trilogy. You know, that'll be the thing we'll fight over then. I'm sure there'll be some way for us to fight over something. But yeah, you're right. I definitely agree. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Princess of Toxicity, for blessing us with this appearance and giving us your take on this. It's very interesting and very illuminating. And with that, I'm going to play us out. So join us next time. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see if I can convince the Princess of Toxicity to be on here more often. Luckily, she's like her father, and she's a very mercenary sensibility. So if I pay her, she'll probably come on more. So as far as that goes, this is us gone, and we will see you next time.
Riding on the wings of destruction, a toxic presence, a lord of corruption, polluting the ocean, spreading in decay, the toxic black, going in the flame, searing through the sand.
I got both.